again, friends. Welcome back to Hobart's Library. My name is Emily, and I am so glad you're here. It's been a while, huh? I just got back from vacation yesterday morning. We went to the Ark and the Creation Museum. I got a lot of footage for you guys, so I am gonna make a little, um, I'm gonna make a little vlog sort of thing to show you guys sort of how that trip went, sort of show you some of the stuff that you can see there. I'll probably have to voice over a lot of it because I think it would probably get boring if it was just showing you all this stuff that we saw while we were there, because I didn't really get to talk. There were a lot of people there. So I'll do a little voiceover, and I will leave a little preview for some of the stuff that you'll see at the end of this video. But today we're going to be talking about my November TBR because I'm trying to get back in the swing of reading. I've been a little bit behind recently. Um, I don't think, well, I read 3 volumes of The Cursed Princess Club, but I think that's pretty much all that I read in October. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So we are going to do a November TBR, and we're also going to do a little book haul of the books that I got while I was at the Ark, because of course I bought a bunch of books. Not a bunch. I bought like 4 books at the Ark and the Creation Museum. I'll show you what I got there, and we will just get right into it. Do you like my Jane Austen mug? It's got Jane Austen herself and then a bunch of quotes from her different books. So there's just quotes all over it that I could just sit and read all day. Anyway, we'll get into the November TBR. While I was trying to come up with what I wanted to read this month, I was like, man, I'm so not in a romance mood, but I know I'm going to be. You know why? Because it's November, going into December. There's so many cozy feelings around November because you've got Thanksgiving, and then December you've got Christmas. And Christmas means Hallmark movies. And I know I'm going to be in the mood for something cozy and romantic. So I made sure to pick out at least one cozy romantic book, and that is A Girl's Guide to the Outback by Jessica Kate. I've had this book for a little while, but I haven't read it because it is it's contemporary, and I don't generally read contemporary. But it is about these 2 people who work together. There's Samuel Payton. He is a passionate youth pastor from Virginia, but below the surface, he is still recovering from the blow of a failed business and insecurities he can't shake. His coworker, startup expert Kimberly Foster, is brilliant, fearless, and capable, but years of personal rejection have left her defensive and longing for a family. So there's these 2 people. He is originally from Australia. It says, when Kimberly's ambitious plans for Sam's ministry butt up against his risk-averse nature, he decides that obligation to family trump his work in the U.S. He quits the ministry and heads home to Australia to help his sister Jules save her struggling farm. As Kimberly's grand plans flounder, she's forced to face the truth that no one can replace Sam. Together, they strike up a deal. If Kimberly comes to work on Jules's dairy farm and lends her business brains to their endeavor, then maybe, just maybe, Sam will reconsider his future with the church. As Kimberly tries her hand at Australian farm life, she learns more about herself than she could have ever expected. Meanwhile, Sam is forced to reevaluate this spunky woman he already thought he knew. As foes slowly morph into friends, they wonder if they might be something even more. But when disaster looms, will Sam find it within himself to take a risk that could lead to love, and will Kimberly trust God with her future? Does this, or does this not, sound like an Australian Hallmark movie? Move back to farm, spunky businesswoman, small town man? Does that not sound like a Hallmark movie, but Australia and not Christmas? Like, I was literally just talking to myself about how all Hallmark movies are the same, and I will watch them every second of my life. And that's literally the plot. Businesswoman, small town man. They fall in love. She leaves business. She becomes small town woman. So that is the one cozy book that I chose to read in November. Next up, I have Agatha Christie. This is And Then There Were None and Other Classic Mysteries. I want to read Crooked House. I've already read And Then There Were None, and I do recommend it, but it is spooky. I want to read Crooked House. Don't ask me what it's about, because I don't know. I guess I should probably look it up, huh? Because I get this feeling it's not going to tell me anywhere in here what it's about. But it's got to be, like, based on that poem. There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile, and he found a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat that caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house. How ominous is that poem, by the way? Freaky. I don't know what it's about, and my phone is already on the tripod and connected to the microphone, and it'd be a whole big hassle to pull it down and try to figure out what it's about. So I will put a little blurb right here if you want to know what it's about. But that is the second book that I want to read in the month of November. Next up, we have another Agatha Christie book. This is a Miss Marple mystery, and it is A Murder is Announced. From the very minute that I read the description of this book, which this is one of the first descriptions of her books that I read, I wanted to read it. But I tried to read them in order. You don't have to read Miss Marple books in order. There's some that I think you have, like there's one at the end of the series that you have to read one of the earlier ones before you read that one. But this one is not that one. So you can generally read them in whatever order you want. And I tried to read The Moving Finger, and it was so boring. So I think I just might not read that one. So I'm skipping past it, and I'm going into A Murder is Announced, which is the villagers of Chipping Cleghorn are agog. Is that a word? With curiosity when the Gazette advertises a murder is announced and will take place on Friday, October 29th. That was yesterday. At Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. A childish practical joke or a spiteful hoax? Unable to resist the mysterious invitation, the locals arrive at the Little Paddocks at the appointed time when, without warning, the lights go out and a gun fired. When the lights come back on, a gruesome scene is revealed. An impossible crime? It's up to Miss Marple to get the scoop. Of course it is. I love that the centerpiece of all of these spooky, scary murder mysteries is a little old woman. I find her so charming and so endearing. These are like the best little cozy mystery books. Well, I like Poirot more than I like Miss Marple, but I really like Miss Marple. The final book that I want to read this month is a poetry book by C.S. Lewis, and it is Spirits in Bondage. Is this his first book? The back says, the first book from a beloved and timeless writer on love, faith, and war. It is! This was his first book. In 1919, C.S. Lewis published his first book, Spirits in Bondage, under the pseudonym Clive Hamilton. Written while Lewis was a student at Oxford and during the First World War when he served at the front in France, Spirits in Bondage reflects the intellectual and spiritual struggles of a young man wounded by war and conflicted over faith. As he contemplates the nature of morality, love, the presence of evil, the possibility of God, and other profound questions, Lewis reveals a side of himself unfamiliar to many readers. So I opened this and I found a poem in here that I would like to read to you guys because it was really good. It's the very first poem in the book. It's very short, I promise. So the very first poem is Satan Speaks. And it says, I am nature, the mighty mother. I am the law, ye have none other. I am the flower and the dewdrop fresh. I am the lust in your itching flesh. I am the battle's filth and strain. I am the widow's empty pain. I am the sea to smother your breath. I am the bomb, the falling death. I am the fact, the crushing reason, to thwart your fantasies' newborn treason. I am the spider making her net. I am the beast with jaws blood wet. I am a wolf that follows the sun, and I will catch him ere day be done. So I read that poem and immediately knew that I had to read this book this month. It's super tiny, and I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy it. I do like some poetry. It's kind of hard to get into some of it, but I feel like I'm gonna really, really enjoy this one. It's got deckled edges, which I can kind of take it or leave it with deckled edges, but in this case, I really, really like it. I didn't bring it in here with me, it's in my bedroom, but I also want to start Michael Moss's book. I think it's Salt, Sugar, Fat, which is just about how, like, big food industries have used our addictions against us to get us addicted to foods that are hyper palatable but terrible for us, but really cheap to produce mass quantities of. I'm not going to finish it because it's a hefty book, but I want to start it at some point this month. Okay, now we get to do a little mini haul of the books that I picked up while I was at the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. So first and foremost, I am a believer in go big or go home. Do it all or don't do it at all. So I got the box set of book 1 through 4 of the Answers books, which each one, hold on, it's kind of hard to get these out. Okay. So the first one, I've already managed to bend the corner by trying to fit it back in this box. I don't think I'm going to keep them in this box because I don't think it's good for them. But the first one, the new Answers book 1, has over 25 questions on creation and evolution in the Bible. And some of those questions include, is there really a God? Why shouldn't Christians accept millions of years? Couldn't God have used evolution? Don't creationists deny the laws of nature? What about the gap and ruin reconstruction theories? Cain's wife, who was she? Doesn't carbon 14 dating disprove the Bible? Could God really have created everything in 6 days? Does radiometric dating prove the Earth is old? Was there really a Noah's Ark and a flood? How did animals spread all over the world from where the Ark landed? And even more questions. So then Answers book 2 has over 30 questions on creation, evolution, and the Bible. Some of the questions in this book include: why is the Christian worldview collapsing in America? What is a biblical worldview? What is the best proof of creation? Are biblical creationists divisive? How old is the earth? Are there gaps in the Genesis genealogy? Can natural processes explain the origin of life? Are mutations part of the engine of evolution? Did humans really evolve from ape-like creatures? Does the Bible say anything about astronomy? Does the Big Bang fit with the Bible? And way, way more questions. Book 3, over 35 questions on creation, evolution, and the Bible. So this one deals with questions such as, what are the kinds in Genesis? How could all the animals fit on the ark and 8 people care for them? Was the flood of Noah global or local in extent? Is man the cause of global warming? Did Bible authors believe in a literal Genesis? Do fossils show signs of rapid burial? What about the similarity between human and chimp DNA? Was there death before Adam sinned? Abortion. Is it really a matter of life and death? Is the Christian worldview logical? What about cloning and stem cells? How old does the Earth look? Does evolution have a chance? What about eugenics and Planned Parenthood? When and how did the Grand Canyon form? More questions. And the final book, book 4, is over 30 questions on creation, evolution, and the Bible. Some of the questions in here are, does the gospel depend on a young earth? Do plants and leaves die? Dragons, were they real? Peppered moths, evidence for evolution? Is evolutionary humanism the most blood-stained religion ever? Was Charles Darwin a Christian? Cavemen, really? Should there really be a battle between science and the Bible? What did the reformers believe about the age of the earth? What are some of the best evidences in science of a young creation? Have people always been brilliant, or were they originally dumb brutes? What about living fossils? What is the state of the canopy model? And even more questions in there. So that's those ones. I got one other book. I can only spend so much money, y'all. We all know that when you buy books at a gift store, it's more expensive than buying them online. We all know that. But it's nice to give it to a good cause. So I didn't mind spending extra money. I didn't mind spending more money to give to a cause that I think is really worthy. So, next book that I got is all of the signs from inside of the Creation Museum. If you didn't know, you can buy these online, so you don't have to go to the Creation Museum. I recommend that you go because there's a lot of other things to see. There's movies to watch. There's not full movies, like films, like 20 minutes or so, that I think are really worth having a look-see at. Lots of interactive stuff at the Creation Museum, but there is a lot of signs that are in the Creation Museum at every one of their exhibits. And I couldn't stop and read all of them, and I wouldn't have been able to absorb all of that information if I had tried to. And these are every one of the signs that I saw at the Creation Museum, but put in book form. And I think it's awesome that they made something like this. They also have one for all of the signs at the Ark, and I do plan on buying that one online. I didn't have the money to buy another book. By the time we left, I had about $30 in my bank account, maybe 40. And that was all I had. I'd spent all my cash, and I'd spent a lot of the money that was in my bank account. So I did not have the money to buy both the Creation Museum and the Ark Science book. But I really, really, really recommend that if you aren't able to go to the Ark Experience or the Creation Museum, you should really buy these. If you do go to the Ark and the Creation Museum, I really recommend you buy these because now I can go through and actually look through everything and read it all and spend time studying what it all says. Whereas if I had just seen it while I was there and then left, I know myself, all right? I would have forgotten. And I did forget a lot of it. But it has a lot of their exhibits, all of their signs from the Creation Museum inside here. The reason that I chose to get the one from the Creation Museum and not from the Ark is because I liked the Creation Museum more. The Ark as a building and with all of its exhibits is definitely worth going to. But there was a lot more in the Creation Museum, and I liked it a lot more. It was a lot less crowded because people generally just want to go to the Ark. Do not skip the Creation Museum. It is 100% worth going. I liked it a lot more than I liked the Ark, but I still enjoyed the Ark. And I will be buying all the signs from there because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't get to look at and I didn't get to read that I would really like to. So, my friends, that is all that I have for you. It was so nice getting to talk to you. Please let me know how your week has been. Let me know what they talked about at church on Sunday because at our church we went through Ezekiel 1 and that was really, really good. At one point in the service, my pastor said, if your prayer life is pathetic, it's because you're comfortable leaving it that way. If your Bible reading is lacking, it's because you're fine with it being that way. And that really hit me because I was like, oh, right. I could change my life circumstances. We live in a very privileged place where we're able to just do this whenever we want to. We can pray out loud whenever we want to. And people might give us weird looks, but nothing bad's gonna well, probably nothing bad's gonna happen. And if I'm not praying, if I'm not reading my Bible, it's because I'm comfortable with it staying that way. And I'm not comfortable with it staying that way, and I shouldn't be comfortable with it staying that way. So tell me what you guys talked about in church. Tell me what happened throughout your week. I would love to hear it. It was so awesome getting to talk to you guys again. I know it's been a little while. I apologize for that. I have been working a lot, and then I had that little vacation, which was, I love staying in hotels. I love staying in hotels. It was so nice. I had a TV. We don't have cable at our house, but we do have like Roku TVs, so we can still watch stuff, but it's different than having cable. Having cable is like a true luxury. But I will leave you guys now with a little sneak peek at my Ark and Creation Museum vlog. Have an awesome day, guys. See you next time.